Today's effect is out of this world. I'm only a little bit sorry for that. Welcome to another HitFilm tutorial. Today we are looking at 2.5D and creating a space nebula and planet.
Let's begin with our background. I have my composite shot already set up with all the assets imported. We have a texture which we'll be using for our planet, as well as a space image of which I'll be using for this segment. I'll drag this into my composite shot and scale it down for the time being. We'll be using a technique usually referred to as 2.5D. This involves taking a photograph, masking around particular areas and moving them in Z space in order to create a sensation of depth. This is usually used for 3D scenery or matte paintings. For more on this topic, see to the title card on screen now. With that out of the way, let's dive into it. We first need to establish the sections of our image that will stand at different depths. In this case, I'll use this dark cloud as the nearest element, this cosmic gorilla part shortly behind, this star cluster in the distance, and the image as a whole as the background. As I need 4 pieces, I'll need 4 images. So I'll select the image layer and press Ctrl D to duplicate. So by going into the viewer window, let's select the freehand mask tool and cut around each of the sections we want. With it being space clouds, don't worry about these being too neat. We can use feathering to help separate the edges. What's important is avoiding clear overlaps between sections. With everything divided, we can now make our camera. Click the New Layer tab above the timeline and select Camera. In order to move our layers in Z space, we must first set them to 3D. We can do this by going to the Layer Dimension icon, and if we click, we're presented with the option for either 2D, its current setting, or 3D. Let's select 3D. Open the layer properties and under transform, find position. Now that we have the layer set to 3D, we have a third option on our values. This last one is the Z-axis. Let's move the original complete image back, as this will need to be the farthest. The remainder can be evenly spread throughout the space. We want enough distance between them to cause a form of parallax. This is a visual displacement between positions caused by distance. However, you can see by our camera view that this image is now smaller, so go into each layer and scale it up till it reflects what was in the original image. If we quickly rotate or move the camera position, we can now see some parallax motion. If you can't seem to see any, try adjusting the distance between sections even further. At this stage, I wanted to adjust the grade of my image, creating a grade layer from the New Layer tab, adjusting the hue, saturation and lightness to something a little colder. Now we have our main background, let's create an alien planet. I have this cracked earth texture that I like the look of. Due to a particular effect we'll be using later, we'll need to turn this into its own composite shot. So we'll right click and go to Make Composite Shot. Rename this Planet and hit OK. While we're in here, let's add what will become the planet's rotation. Open the layer properties and increase the scale only by about 20 points. Adjust the position until we reach the corner of the image and drop down a keyframe. Move forward about 15 seconds or however long your shot may be, and move the position to the other side. You should now have a slow crawl across the image. Let's jump back into our main comp and we'll drag the newly made composite shot into our timeline. Let's first make it planet shaped by pressing E on the keyboard and activating the Ellipse Mask tool. With square images like this, I tend to create the mask edge to edge and then subtract the unwanted space, using the mask expansion feature. In order to make this look more spherical, we'll grab a bulge from the distort dropdown, bringing the radius to cover the planet, and adjusting the bulge to a size that you feel fits your image. Duplicate our planet and select the one underneath. We're going to turn this into an atmosphere. By pressing F2, we can quickly give this a rename. In the effects window, go into Gradients and Fill, and grab the fill effect. You can set this to any color you like for your design, but I'll be leaving this white. Now if we go into the mask layer and extend the expansion, and set the layers blend mode to add, we'll have this little atmosphere. We're going to need something to place within that atmosphere, so let's generate some clouds. Go into the New Layer tab and generate a plane, giving it an appropriate name. By using the Ellipse tool once again, create a mask that is of equal size to your planet. Now apply a fractal noise from the Generate dropdown of our plane layer. For the type of fractal, you could use the cloud type. However, I found I got the best results with Wisp. This next part came down to personal preference of design, but I started off by changing the seed, which is the effect generation point, till I got something similar of that you would usually see on photos of the planet. Change the scale to about 50, the influence to 35, to get a stronger cloud shape and then keyframe a small rotation. What should be followed is adjusting the appearance, bringing the exposure down to about -2 and offsetting to about 0.6. Under color correction, apply curves and adjust to really bring out the highlights. When happy, open the layer properties and set the overall layer to screen. Last thing that you may have noticed is that we're lacking a shadow. Duplicate the cloud layer, renaming it to shade, and remove all the effects. For now, we just want to keep the mask. For our shadows, we'll be cheating a little bit and using a gradient layer. So let's grab one from the gradients and fill dropdown, and you may want to change the tone of your shades depending on your scene, but we'll be adjusting the start and end position to what light source matches the scene. Add curves for further strength. Once ready, set the layer property to multiply. Great! Before we fully place this into our scene, we'll first need to make a point layer. We'll name this Planet Control, parenting all the planet layers to this point. This will allow us to move everything as one group rather than a bunch of individuals. It just keeps everything neat. Highlight all the planet layers and the point layer, and set them all to 3D. Before we move them around, I think we need to create a little bit more depth. So go into the cloud layer and the atmosphere layer, adjusting the Z space to create a small gap in between them. You may also need to adjust the size of your mask expansion depending. Doing this, like with our background, will enhance the depth of the scene, creating the 3D illusion. We'll now use the point layer to move in Z space, placing it deeper within our scene. Open the properties of your layer camera and add a keyframe to the start and end of your scene. Though this is a 3D scene, I would advise avoiding too much rotation, as you will start to reveal that you have a flat image. Last little tweaks I made was in color grading, to enhance a more sci-fi feel.
Leave any questions down below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications on when we next upload.